Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just waiting for Lorraine to turn hers on.
Chair Armour, she may not turn it on. I believe she might be using a cell phone, so she may not have her video on today.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Nice to see everybody here. I didn't know if everybody was going to show up today or not, so that's great. So I see we do have quorum, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. And I'll read the land acknowledgement statement. I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we, on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, under the terms of the Robertson-Huron Treaty number 61 of 1850 and the Williams Treaties of 1923, we commit to acknowledge, learn, educate, create opportunity, honor sacred places, and take action towards real truth and reconciliation in support of our commitment to walk in the path together in respect to peace, harmony, and future generations. We do have everybody movers and seconders for motions. Is everybody okay with that you've seen so far? I do notice on our very first one, Kay Leslie is the mover. So can I get a mover? This is for the to accept the meeting agenda. Don? Okay. So I need a John's seconder. So we'll Dion is to be the mover. So Accessibility Advisory Committee moved by Dion, Councillor Schumacher, seconded by Committee Member Gallagher. It's recommended that the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting agenda dated March 29th, 2022 be adopted as printed and circulated. All those in favor? And that carries. Are there any pecuniary interests today? Seeing none? Okay. We're moving right along here. We have no deputations today, but we'll move on to 5 and 5.1. Crystal's here to give us a report on the municipal election accessibility plan, and it's for information only. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Armour. The report is for information only, and it is before you today in regards to accessibility for our 2022 municipal and school board elections. The election this year will take place on October 24th, 2022, with the election voting window opening the week prior. The report outlines everything that we're going to be doing for accessibility, as well as what our vendors will uphold in regards to online accessibility. And then we speak to kind of the in-person help center and how we make that accessible. So I'm just here to answer any questions you may have.
I don't see any questions. I'll list, we're still going to be using the current Club 55, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct. Our plan is to use same as we did 4 years ago. So our last election is to use the Club 55 area. And it will be, as council passed last year, it will be internet and telephone voting, but people are welcome to come in for assistance. And then there'll be computers there for them to use to cast their vote.
That's excellent. Okay, we're going to move on to 6, which is site plan review 6.1, which is the Top Coat Painters Inc. at 50 Main Menominee Street. There's no issues there. All accessibility needs were met and building codes to date, so that's good to go. Going to move on to 7, which is previous business, and that's the National Accessibility Week. And I think Crystal is going to bring us up to date on that one too.
Thank you, Chair Armour. I did just want to touch on this a little bit. So National Accessibility Week is May 29th through to June 4th. The week is an opportunity to celebrate Canadians with disabilities and to raise awareness of the critical need for accessibility and inclusion for all in our communities and workplaces. So I know there was a discussion last year about what to do for the National Accessibility Week. So as you'll recall, Brenda did come with some different designs for a flag. So we now have that flag. So the flag will be raised for National Accessibility Week. So that'll be going up. as well as we will have information on our website, and we'll be doing some social media posts throughout the week. So I'm just here for any questions or any comments in regards to what you'd like to see for accessibility for the week.
Perfect. This is a great opportunity for your input, everyone. So does anybody have any thoughts that we could go ahead with for that week? I'm not seeing any. To raise the flag, do we have, are we going to raise that on the 24th of May? And do we have a time? And I just wonder if anybody would like to be there when we do it.
As soon as I have it all confirmed, I would be happy to circulate that to committee, and hopefully you can all join us for that flag raising ceremony.
That'd be great. So in the meantime, if anybody thinks of anything they'd like to see us promote that week or what we can do, please feel free to reach out to myself or Councillor D. Schumacher, or even Crystal. I'm sure we could get something done for that week. Oh, Councillor Schumacher, go ahead.
Thank you through your chair, Armor. Yeah, I mean, I think last year too, the district did some stuff. So I think, again, probably just because of the state that we were in, it was mostly things like the, you know, what came in the social media package, I think, from National Accessibility Week. So I assume you're doing sort of the same thing. I was trying to take a look at the downtown Huntsville site to see what's going on that time of year, but there doesn't sort of seem, I mean, the craft beer festival is, I think, before that. And then
Right, yeah.
the art crawl kind of comes after. I think before we've had a booth when we did do like tours of the town. So I think it all depends on what things might start to happen by that point too, to see what else we might consider doing.
That's great. Yeah, to see what's opened up and how we're coming along, that'd be great.
Yeah, and just maybe pairing with the district on what they might do too.
That'd be perfect. Okay. We're going to move on to 8, which is new business, 8.1, and that's the future meeting location. We're at last night at council, we're discussing a bylaw on continuing with being able to continue with Zoom meetings, etc. So I just wanted to bring it up here so our committee had an opportunity to speak of whether you'd like to go back to in-person meetings. Would you like to carry on with Zoom meetings, or would you like the option of having the ability to have a in-person meeting as well as Zoom into it at the same time? I think we have 3 meetings left, I think, Crystal, for this year coming up. So I'd just like to get everybody's input. It was in the bylaw that they would give us the option to just continue Zooming, but I just wanted to get the feeling from the committee members themselves. Go ahead, John.
Thanks. I think, if there's in-person meetings would be best, but I don't have any issue also having that Zoom meeting available to people, that it might be easier for people to attend that way if that's the case. So I'd sort of say a combination of both is my preference. But
Excellent. I think that was the general consensus last night. Laurel, go ahead.
Having the option of Zoom is better for me too. It's really hard for me to get. The town building is a difficult spot for me to get to. So I'd be happy to be able to do it by Zoom.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I see Crystal has her hand up. Oh. Well, Lorraine, you go ahead, Lorraine.
I'm open to both. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's just really awkward in my car. I'm open to both. I find parking around Town Hall almost impossible right now, and I can't walk very far. So, but I'm happy to meet in person as long as people are masked. And I guess there's no mask mandate right now. So for May, the next meeting I believe would be May. I would be more comfortable if that one was a Zoom, and then maybe going in person once we see how the virus count does. But if people aren't wearing masks, I can't really be there. So I'm still immune compromised.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. Councillor Schumacher?
Thank you, through you, Chair Worship. Yeah, I like the idea of the hybrid option. The only thing I wasn't sure, maybe this is what Crystal's going to speak to, is that I'm not sure if a hybrid option's available if we do meet in person, because it would still be Partners Hall, I guess, would be the option. And I don't know if hybrid option would be that. I believe the council chamber upstairs is going to be fitted for the option of hybrid, but I don't know, again, whether we'd be able to do it where we normally would meet.
That's correct. I think that's why Crystal may have had her hand up too. So go ahead, Crystal.
Thank you very much, Chair Arbor. Yes, that is what I was looking to speak to. So coming in person or having the meeting continue electronically or hybrid of does have a few different challenges, as I'm sure you can all relate to. Remaining online is no problem. We would just continue as is. If we are fully in person, so if you're not having the choice of either one, if you're coming fully in person, then we can certainly still meet in Partners Hall. However, the meeting will no longer be live streamed. So if a member of the public wanted to come and watch the meeting, they'd have to physically come and watch the meeting. The only way that we can do a hybrid is to come into council chambers, which I would have a little bit of concerns of just for accessibility reasons. It is a fully accessible room. We do have the lift as well as the stairs. I'm actually sitting in here now. It's certainly doable, but I just did want to make committee aware that the reason we've been meeting in Partners Hall was because the room just posed some challenges. So if we're doing hybrid meetings, we need to be in the council chamber. So I just want to make everyone aware of that and make sure that everyone's okay with doing that. The other thing with hybrid meetings is I would recommend that quorum still be in the room, just because it starts to look like a lot on the screens in front of everyone. If we have 2 people who want to attend and the rest want to do electronically, I would recommend at that point, because we've passed quorum, that it would just be an electronic meeting. So just a couple extra things to consider logistically. Just putting that out there for committee's information.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's good to know. So maybe we should just go ahead with Councillor Schumacher, go ahead.
And as you say, so this is May, July, and September, right? Those are the yeah. And again, we may even not, depending on what we have to do, we may or may not have those 3 meetings.
Right. So I do get the general census that most would like to continue with the Zoom option first. So maybe we should just continue with that, and we'll go on a meeting basis, and we can send out an information package, and in that information package we can add in there that would you like this one in person, or would you like to Zoom this one, and then we could all make a decision that way to finish out this term, because there could be a whole new community actually for next year who could be faced with the same challenges. So how's that sound, everybody? Good, thumbs up. Perfect. All right, so we'll just do it that way from now on. Okay, Crystal? Perfect, thanks very much. Moving right along here into general information, and we're into the accessibility housing pledge. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to go through that. It's basically where they're asking us to sign a pledge where for the building code to change a little bit. So when they're building new builds, that they make the apartments, all apartments, accessible instead of just a percentage of them. So they're just looking for us to basically put our, I don't know if we just sign something here, or we just put a motion on the that we would. Crystal, can you, or Dion, go ahead. Somebody.
No, I was just going to say, the way I read it is because of the provincial election, it is asking those that are running provincially to sign the pledge,
Right.
or possibly municipally as well. Those are the 2 elections that are coming up. Is that correct, Crystal?
That is correct. At this time, it does have more of a provincial focus, so a little bit outside our jurisdiction, but
Yeah.
Member Kay Leslie brought this to our attention and just wanted everyone to be aware and just spreading the word really at this time.
Perfect. It's a good read. I'm sure you've read it, John. Go ahead.
So I did have a read of that as well, and it is a good idea. The only thing I seem to be missing is a pledge for people on ODSP. I mean, the biggest problem to rental housing is for the disabled is the funds that they receive from the province on a or the feds on a monthly basis, and I think that should be part of the solution. I mean, we could make all the units accessible, but if people can't afford them, then they just get taken up by other parties. And there is a huge issue with trying to provide these types of any units right now, but they're getting all gobbled up typically by the highest people that pay the most, and that excludes a good portion of our population, especially in this area. And so I was surprised that there wasn't more done during the COVID crisis for people on ODSP because they are hard times, and it was made even harder. And they, again, cost of living's gone up substantially, and again, they're asked to survive on a rate that is non-realistic, I guess would be the word. Anyways, but those are my comments. I still support the letter, but I think it should be further than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Councillor Schumacher?
Yeah, no, I was gonna just reiterate on what John was saying. I mean, yeah, the letter essentially is to have accessible housing and housing available, not just the normal percentage when somebody does a build, that they only, put that much aside for accessible housing. But I would agree with you, John, when we talk about right now, cost of living increases for the sectors and different sectors across, there's not really conversation for cost of living increase for those individuals on ODSP or OW.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ability actually to find affordable housing that they can actually afford to move into, it's challenging, but I think this is, at least there's a little bit of a beginning here, and hopefully that the government recognizes that going forward. It is an election year for provincially, so maybe someone might throw that on there as part of their campaign to increase that money coming in. Yeah, if nobody has anything else, we'll move on to 9, which is general information. 9.2 is council update. We have a few things on the go right now. We passed actually the hydration station that we were talking about at the last meeting. It actually came in less expensive, somewhere around $5,000. So that's still a go. So that's a good savings for the BIA and chamber out front. As you know, with streetscape and the sidewalks, we're coming into the spring and the summer, and we're currently working on a new bylaw for the merchants along Main Street to be able to use the sidewalks to display their product, or actually put little bars out there, etc. So we're working with that right now, making sure it continues, the sidewalks continue to be accessible for everybody with wheelchairs, etc. I think there's a little bit of work to do on that one yet, but we are working on that right now. Dion, would you like to add anything to it?
No, not particularly. I mean, I think you had addressed most of that. I mean, I think the thing is just that it is nice to see that things are starting to open up again. So I think I kind of had mentioned, I checked out quickly when we were talking about what was going on, and for the National Accessibility Week, is that the BIA does have their list of events up for the summer. So, what is it? I just lost it. Maple Fest is coming back.
Maple Fest coming up
in April on the 30th, those types of things. So they do have a list there. So yes, it's going to be great with sort of a new the street mostly done down that end, and Kent Park hopefully opening up. We're going to see a lot of things. I think people are kind of excited to kind of get back. I know a lot of the even community committees in Utterson, Port Sydney, Aspen and Hall Board that I kind of sit on, they're starting to open up again. So I know I think Nuit Blanche is coming back. So I know that the All Accessibilities Dance Committee, they're looking to do some performances and things. So it's going to be, I think, an exciting year to sort of see what we have to offer and present. And this last weekend is the last weekend for Eclipse. It will be pretty muddy, so I don't know accessibility wise how great it is up there, but if you can get your rain boots on and get up there, they're doing tribute with Sean Cotton is doing, I believe he's doing Pink Floyd, and then Tobin is doing Neil Young tribute on the weekend. So a lot going on in the town. So it is a good opportunity for everybody to kind of get out there and see. I think there's a few places are doing some spring cleanups you'll start to see around. So yeah, just kind of excited that everybody's kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. After 2 years of being locked down, I think you're going to see a lot of people getting out and spreading their wings a little bit here. Just a couple other things. I know that we're still the town staff are still working on I think it's the Terracin. There's some issues up there with accessibility, and the Canvas Bar. They're still working on that site plan. So Lorraine, go ahead.
I just have a couple of questions around their comments. So this morning when I parked to go to the Royal Bank, I fell over. My husband caught me just because the slope of the sidewalks around the RBC, again, I know they tried to create sidewalks that were accessible from the door down to the road, but the slope was so bad and so uneven that I ended up falling, and my husband caught me. And I've raised this before. I just find the new slope angles so difficult. I don't know how people in a wheelchair are managing, because you'd be at an angle. And the other comment I have, and I guess concern, is there used to be an accessible parking spot on at Brunel, and just in front on Main Street at Brunel, just in front of that little place by the light.
Yep.
And there is no accessible spot there anymore, and that just means that entire end of town I can't park in. And there's a couple of restaurants, a couple of stores I've tried to go to multiple times. The regular parking is always taken. The only other parking is in front of Town Hall, which is up the hill, which, you know, is an issue. And so finally, one of the stores, I just called them and said, I've tried 3 times to come by and there's never parking. And so they met me at their back door with the item I paid, and they met me at their back door where there was no parking. It was just, you know, come in and wait while they came out. And so I guess I'm concerned, why did that accessible parking spot get missed or moved? And my also continuing concern about some of the slopes on some of the sidewalks are difficult. It's beautiful, but it's difficult for me. And so my husband and I have just made a point of, okay, where can we shop other than downtown? And that's sad, because we do want to support downtown. So that's it.
Yep. Thanks for that. I can definitely speak to Brandon Hall and those people at Public Works about the slope of the sidewalk and see. I know that if I do remember, I think Director Hernan was talking about that earlier, and I think they were trying to address it. And because they're on the hill that they're on, they did actually raise them, so the slope is less. But and the accessible parking spot, I'll look into that one too. So I know exactly where you're talking. There's only like 4 or 5 spots there, and I think I think one was actually designated as accessible, but I'll have to look into that more. Councillor Schumacher, go ahead.
Yeah, I was
You have
gonna
your
say
hand
the same thing. I know last time I kind of grabbed Steve before he left. Now he has retired, but Director Hernan did mention, and again, it was more we were talking about because I had brought up through Lorraine, the Friendly Fox area there. Now they did say again, oh, and we've got Tarmo coming onto onto our screen, which is great. So we did talk a bit at that time that again, if there were more concerns to come through, we would look at maybe taking some of those. We put the blocks up to make it accessible into the store. And if it became an issue, then we could look at taking that chunk of sidewalk back out. It would just mean that that store then is not accessible from the street again. It's a
Right.
step, right? So there were some conversation with Director Hernan before he left about that. He said to just kind of leave it depending on what feedback I get. Now, I hadn't had anything more since Lorraine and I talked about that particular area. And to be honest, Lorraine, I hadn't noticed Royal Bank, but I know because they're kind of still in an influx there with the traffic and doing, you know, the section where they closed off from West Street on to finish up the intersection. I hadn't really, you know, been through there. So I wasn't sure if that was exactly a finished product at that time.
Yes, that's correct. Community member Shaw.
I know downtown is not a spot that's worked for me for a number of years, and I only go down when I have help and when something I specifically need, but now I wouldn't even think about it. But I wonder, and for me anyway, and I know everybody's different, but if there's a handhold so that when you get wobbly, like you got something stable to hang on to. I walk with a cane and an arm cane, which is sturdy, but if I wobble, it wobbles, right? So is there anywhere in some of these doors, and I haven't been down, I must admit, where there could be something that you can hang on to get in the door or something? I don't know. But I know it's those wobbles. I wouldn't, unless there's something I absolutely had to go to, I just wouldn't go because I just know I couldn't do it, right?
Right.
It's like railings and things
Yeah.
like that are very important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
to address that, Laura, one of the things I know that, again, before Director Hernan left, we were looking at, so those Muskoka moments, and I think Lorraine might remember this, we were talking a bit about where to strategically put some of those moments that then maybe they are there to be able to, you know, hold on to the back of a chair, hold on to some of those boulders, hold on to those benches as an opportunity to sort of, you know, use that to be able to walk and try to figure out where are some of those strategic places that they need to be set. A railing on a store, I think that falls under the store itself to be able to do. I mean, it definitely could be an option. And I know we did at one point, and I don't know how we're gonna keep going with that option, but there had been the option to look at accessibility with stores for people to take a bit of an opportunity to make things more accessible. But yeah, as far as those moments, we're trying to create some of those options where people can then use those to be able to hold on to.
That's correct. Lorraine, go ahead. I think you froze.
So the same way that, am I okay now?
You're better now, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, in the car it's difficult. And Debbie previously had done a walk the sidewalk so that she could give feedback as to which sidewalks were a problem. Maybe it would be good for us to do the sidewalks in downtown, you know, myself or Laurel, who do have just standing issues, to give feedback on where those spots are that particularly are of a concern and where to maybe place those boulders. Because I do think the boulders will help in the chairs, you know, having something to hold on to or knowing not to go down that slope because that slope is crazy. Or, you know, having, I don't know, a railing or a post or something, but anyway, I just think it could be something our committee does, is physically go to that area with whoever, with the director, and just say, okay, this is a concerned area. What can we do? Where can the boulder go here? Where can the chairs go here? Because I think the average person doesn't realize the slope is bad. It's only somebody who's having a walking issue. Like if you look at the corner of Maine where the RBC is, you don't think there's an issue until you're coming up from the parking area, and all of a sudden it's just wrong. So that's, I'm offering my services at some point where there's no snow.
Yeah, there definitely are challenges up and down that main street, and especially around the RBC Bank there now. I could definitely sign up for that and go for a walk with you. And I'm sure that our director Tarmo would love to join us. Councillor Schumacher, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sure Tarma would. And again, after Director Hernan, when he left, I guess he's not Director Hernan anymore, retired Steve, he had made that mention to me, and so I did check it out again, is that there are differences between if you're walking right by the Friendly Fox up to the, right in front of the store versus out a little ways, right? So I do know, as Lorraine had said, I did do a bit of a maneuvering through that area, and there are some spots where you can kind of feel like you're going to fall off, but then if you're closer to the building, you don't notice it as much, right? So it's just those nuances that you kind of have to be aware of.
Yeah, and we could definitely maybe identify areas where railing or a handle would work well, and maybe the store owner would be more acceptable to putting something like that if it knows it's going to assist you to assist people getting in, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe we get Crystal to come up with a date and we can all get together on a nice sunny day and go for a walk on Main Street. Tarmo, are you listening there?
I am, Councillor.
Absolutely great. Hi, this is our new director of Operations and Protective Services, and Tarmo, would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself so everybody here is aware of where you come from and what you bring to our Huntsville?
Well, I've got my 3-week chip now from the town of Huntsville. Getting all organized here. My background is heavy in municipal government and a little bit of experience in provincial government, all at the director level. I started out as a paramedic for 20 years and worked my way up, became director of paramedic services in Northumberland County. That's where I spent the longest time in kind of a municipal leadership role. Moved to the province of Ontario, where I was responsible for the entire paramedic services system in Ontario, and primarily recruited there to clean up the Orange Air Ambulance thing, I will call it nicely. And then moved on into director role in the city of Toronto. Basically, same old there. It was for a specific task of bringing two unions, bargaining units together. And then I went into a little bit of a consulting role, which was promptly shut down by COVID, and started looking for an opportunity near where I live. I live in the township of Lake LaBaze, just south of Huntsville here, and love it up here, and I'm looking forward to being involved in every aspect of the town.
Perfect. Thanks for that. I think we got a real good guy here, and I think he's really going to help us out here, not the whole town of Huntsville and all that. So I don't know if anybody has any questions directly for Tarmo himself, or no. I don't see any. No. Thanks very much, Tarmo.
No, he's probably just vigorously taking notes as he was listening to our sidewalk issues as we have conversation tomorrow.
Yeah. In terms of contacting me, please feel free at any point in time. I'm happy to have any kind of discussion and look at whatever the issues are.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Just one more thing out of council update, just so everybody's aware. At Center Street and Main with constructions, they're going to be working around the clock 24 hours a day, Monday to Thursday. So we're hoping that they can get ahead of and get that intersection open quicker and get traffic moving around. I think they mentioned last night a date on when they're hoping to have Main Street completed, but I don't remember exactly when that was. I'm thinking something at the second week of May, but maybe Councillor Schumacher remembers that.
Well, the full project is not till July 13th, but with the fully paved and everything. But yeah, I believe tail end, they want to have, I think, about 3 weeks in for the intersection, and then they'll head up towards the top end of Lawrence.
Right. So not seeing anything else, that we come to the end of our meeting. Do we have a motion here for adjournment? We do. So moved by Lorraine Blondin and seconded by Laura Shaw. It's recommended that we do now adjourn at 14:09. All those in favor? Thanks, everyone, and be safe and enjoy this.
I
beautiful
love
weather.
that you still use the 24-hour clock, Dan, even though you're retired.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ingrained in my brain. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye.